because it was hard. I kept seeing those boxes. They were like those paper boxes.
Yeah.
Had all of his medical records in it, and I hated to keep seeing it.
Yeah.
We're sitting in Washington, D.C. We took the mass transit, the train, the metro to the hotel. We have all of our records, all of our MRIs, everything. So the next morning we get up and we're in a hotel right down the street from the hospital. So we walk across the street to like a McDonald's to get something to eat. And then we walk to the hospital and they told us the doctor wasn't there. And we said, we were like, we were dumbfounded because we're like, well, what do you mean he's not here? Like, we flew in to have the appointment just with him and we have all of our records here. And they said he left last night.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they would never tell us why. So they said, well, we can't reschedule right now. We don't know when it's going to be back. So we left the hospital. We're both like speechless. We're not even talking at this point because we didn't know what to say to each other. So we go right back to the hotel. We pack up our things. We take the metro, still like almost in shock of what is currently happening. And we go to the airport. And when we get to the airport, we just book our flight again right then to leave. The soonest flight. And when we do that, I called the captain of the base, but they wouldn't touch him anymore.
As a son of a Vietnam War vet who still suffers from the unspeakable sights and sounds of warfare in Southeast Asia, I do not believe an accurate depiction of the events of the Vietnam War would constitute exceptional and praiseworthy history. My father, like many others in Vietnam, were exposed to many atrocities, like Agent Orange. Most of you don't know this, but it is due to this exposure that I was born with spina bifida. Glorification and oversimplification of our past would be the greatest disservice to our veterans. History needs to be taught accurately, unimpeded, and unembellished by government. We need an unbiased conversation on the variety of ideologies that have developed over time.
Nations fought across oceans, across continents, and across ideologies. Scientists were searching for an edge, a way to see the enemy again, through thick tropical tree canopy. And the idea was simple, to create a chemical mixture that could be deployed from aircraft and from troops spraying on foot.
Other vital components of the airborne war are such specialized tasks as defoliation, a maneuver designed to peel back the cover from which the Viet Cong spring ambushes on Allied supply convoys and troop movements.
During the British counterinsurgency in Malaya, the forest itself became a target. To deny food and shelter to insurgents, colonial forces turned to chemical herbicides, spraying crops and jungle edges from the ground and air. The chemicals were presented as humane alternatives to bombing, tools to clear land, not kill people. But for rural communities, the result was hunger, displacement, and loss of livelihood. Malaya became an early testing ground. Methods developed there, controlling land through chemistry, would later be studied, refined, and applied elsewhere. From across oceans, this was genius, and Americans have been using herbicides and lawns for years. But wartime has a way of reshaping intent. When the British forces used chemical defoliants in Malaya to limit insurgents' access to food and cover, American officials took note. So research expanded, quietly and methodically. By 1961, the conflict in Vietnam intensified. In January 1962, American aircraft began spraying the Vietnamese countryside. The operation was called Ranch Hand. The chemicals were given color code names for logistics. One of them, identified by orange strip barrels, would come to dominate the program. As the war escalated, demand exploded. To meet the demand, the US government contracted multiple American chemical companies to manufacture the herbicide. It did not design Agent Orange. It did not decide where it would be sprayed. It produced the chemical under contract, delivering shipments between 1965 and 1968, during the height of the spraying campaign. Between 1966 and 1969, spraying reached its peak. Forests thinned, crops failed, entire landscapes were altered from the air. What was not fully understood at the time was 2,4,5-T.
One of the newest and most versatile weapons in Dow's arsenal of chemical warfare is 2,4-Dow Weed Killer.
This contaminant was not an intended ingredient, but it was persistent and it accumulated. As spraying continued, concerns grew, first quietly among scientists, then publicly. By April 1970, all use of 2,4,5-T and therefore Agent Orange was suspended. In 1971, the herbicide program officially ended. Millions of gallons remained unused, stored in Vietnam and the United States.
He claims he sprayed a toxic weed killer on Guam. What happened to the tens of thousands exposed haunted him for years.
I was spraying the most deadliest substance on earth, and I am responsible for it.
The former Master Sergeant claimed he sprayed hundreds of thousands of gallons of the toxic herbicide Agent Orange around Andersen Air Force Base on Guam.
They told me that I could brush my teeth and it wouldn't hurt anybody. I've got 33 diseases. I had 28 until all the cancers started popping up.
His illnesses, he said, were Agent Orange related, as was his granddaughter, born with 24 fingers and toes. According to Leroy Foster, he died on an operating table years ago, but was allowed to live to relay his message and fight the fight for fellow veterans.
I came into this world with nothing, and I'm going to leave with nothing, but I'm going to leave this world with honor.
Well, he had me make the copies the following year. He had me make the copies right before they retired him because it was a terminal and he knew that they waited too long. So one day he told me to go make copies, so I went to Staples. I literally stood there for hours. And then I drove them up to New York with me. So we had him in Bedford. We had him at the house, but I waited till he passed to do anything, and but they said I couldn't anyway. Military doctors can't be sued.
Right.
So when you get care at all in the military member nor the spouses can sue anybody for anything. So if there was any malpractice, it really didn't matter. And if they made the wrong diagnosis kind of thing, it really didn't matter.